Hello everyone! Welcome to Reacting Reddit, where real humans read and react to Reddit content. Today I picked the question, what's the deal with Julian Assange? And why has he only just been arrested? Because if you guys didn't know, Julian Assange was arrested, but then he was not extradited to the USA! I like it when people release sensitive government documents and show that the government is cruel and does horrible, ruthless, decrepit things. I mean, for me, that being out in the open, that I think is a very good thing for our society. We need more honesty, we need more transparency, and people like Julian Assange are the basically leaders of that. And these people are all being hunted, literally hunted, by the US government for treason, and they're gonna kill them. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But it also could happen. And that's for me, that's sad. I'm sure for some of you listening, you hate these people, and I kind of understand because you've been told that they have put your country in jeopardy and that if it wasn't for them, then people wouldn't die in these terrorist attacks and stuff. But from my perspective, that's all just manipulation. The US they really F with governments and people, and they've done a lot of good things, but they've also hurt a lot of people. And some of that pain is quite obvious when you're not inside the USA, let's say. But anyway, let's see what Reddit has to say about this. Whoa, okay. Answer. Julian Assange is most famous for being the editor of WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks came to prominence when it published the Afghanistan and Iraq war logs compiled by the United States military in 2010. A few months after the leaks in 2010, Sweden issued a warrant for Assange's arrest on charges of sexual assault and rape. He denied the allegations and refused to return to Sweden to face the charges, as he claims to fear that he would be extradited to the United States to face espionage. Claims to fear? Oh, come on, he would be Of course, the United States is going to do anything they can to get their hands on him, which means extraditing him from any allied countries. So, that's not far-fetched. That would happen. He surrendered to UK police on December 7th, 2010, and he was released on bail within 10 days. After unsuccessfully challenging the extradition proceedings to Sweden, he then breached bail and fled. He was granted asylum by Ecuador in August 2012 and has remained in residence at their embassy in London ever since that. WikiLeaks returned to prominence in the United States elections in 2016, allegedly serving as a cutout between Russian intelligence and the Trump campaign in releasing emails stolen from Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. In 2017, Sweden dropped their investigation into Assange and moved to revoke their arrest warrant. The British arrest warrant remained in effect due to his having fled while on bail. Over the last few years, his relationship with the Ecuadorian embassy has soured, the result being they removed his asylum and invited the Metropolitan Police into the embassy to arrest Assange. Presumably, he will face charges related to breaking his bail. Whether he can expect extradition to the United States and further charges, that is an open question right now. All right, let me read this post, this very good, well-written post, was by Hanzoku. Sorry, I didn't see the username at first. And so it's actually a bit out of date now because he did go, there was a trial and they charged there was not a trial, but the US tried to extradite him, and the UK ruled that they're not going to give him to the US, which is awesome, because the UK is like, oh yeah, you're going to kill him. Actually, I don't think this guy's going to die. He's just going to go to jail for a long time. They're not as mad as Assange as the other WikiLeaks guy who's in Russia, Edward Snowden. Yeah, there were multiple points, if not still now, that if Snowden goes to the US, he could very well be killed. But now, basically, enough time has passed that it's less likely these people who have done great things for us, for any person on the earth, these people like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden have made transparency more common. And one of the things that's quite interesting is originally, if they had been caught immediately after this, like if Edward Snowden had been caught immediately by the US and gotten into the US soil, he would have been killed. Like he would have been put on the death penalty. But now so much time has passed that people are starting to favor and sympathize with him more. So now the US is like, well, if we kill him, that's really bad publicity for us. Like really bad publicity. So they're increasingly concerned. And also, with all of the trouble in the US this year over someone being killed by the government, multiple people being killed by the government, it's again like Edward Snowden isn't black, but the government has been taking a lot of heat for killing people. So I'm hoping that soon, maybe in like 10, 15 years, Snowden will still be alive, and then he won't get killed by the US. I really hope so. That'd be nice. My Kebab says, the Metropolitan Police have confirmed that he has been further arrested on behalf of the US authorities. So an extradition is most likely to happen. Yeah, that's what these people were saying, but that extradition was actually ruled against. Surprise, surprise. Which is actually kind of surprising, because the UK is quite close to the US, but they ruled that, yeah, they're not going to give him the guy. So now the US is repealing, and this is so funny, they're appealing. Like, how many times have you ever heard of someone being, like, kicked out of school for not a good reason, or they were, like, kicked off a platform, or they were charged something, and then they have to appeal against the government to get the government to make a new decision? Well, guess what, government? Now you're getting some of your own red tape. You have to appeal against the UK government. Ha ha! Suck it, bureaucracy. Stephen Hunter says one of the 4 Swedish charges, namely the rape one, is still in the statute of limitations, so he could be charged with that. He wasn't charged previously because the Swedes need you to be in custody to charge you. Huh. Gold Medal Flower says, thank you for explaining what WikiLeaks actually is and what it's done, because I've been so severely out of the loop that I didn't even know that, embarrassingly. Well, if I were a fugitive of several countries, you can be sure I would do my absolute best behavior with the people harboring me. Sounds like he was a dick to them. Got Scott says, WikiLeaks returned to prominence in the United States in 2016. Oh, he's quoting the other guy. Allegedly serving as a cutout between Russian intelligence and the Trump campaign in releasing emails stolen from Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. This is something WikiLeaks has denied repeatedly. They continue to claim that it was a leak, something some former NSA agents say is supported by the evidence, though VIPS is certainly not unanimous in this assessment. To my knowledge, there has been no firm evidence either way, only they said allegations. Since no unbiased source was allowed to examine the machine from where the data originated, it will probably remain that way. Dishville, responding to item number 1, WikiLeaks, in its entire history, has never once had to do a retraction because their information was wrong. The information Assange released was real. No one has been able to claim otherwise. Item number 2. With Democrats in charge of the House, you will bet that they will want him buried. No information he released got any operative killed. All information released was true. You may not like him or his methods. In the end, the worst thing he did was show people facts that they did not want to know. Yes, that is so true! Oh, preaching to the choir! Sometimes I read comments and I just want to hug the writer of the comment, you know? I just want to be like, oh, I don't know how you exist, person, among all this judgment, among all this hatred, among all this petty, dumb bullshit that people put on each other. How can you, a person who's not judgmental and kind of reasonable and able to see the hidden truths in things, how can you exist in this day and age? I don't know, but I want to hug you. Dishevel, you're awesome. Thank you. Moving on. Alejandro says, question, what did he do to upset the Ecuadorian authorities? FPS Randy says, I read in another edit and post that apparently he was caught a bunch of times hacking the Ecuador embassy computer systems and network. Then he used his cell phone as a private internet connection. Then inadpapers.org recently got launched, and they suspect it is him. Inadpapers.org accuses the Ecuador president of setting up an offshore company and laundering money that their president denies. But the website has communication records that show the president set them up and is doing exactly what was accused. Yeah, well, isn't that ironic? Like, it's quite ironic that somebody who leaked corruption in government was granted asylum by a government that's suffering from corruption. Oh, what government isn't suffering from corruption? Jeez. You know, I will say that I personally do believe that the world is less corrupt than it used to be, like 100, 200 years ago. We have the average human can get some luxuries if you play your cards right. You have access to the internet and stuff. You can earn money online. There's some magical stuff you can do that you didn't used to be able to do. So we got it pretty good. You know, even with all this corruption and stuff, at least we can earn money online and figure out how to get a better life, right? Like, that's always good. No matter where you are, no matter what passport you have, you're always actually able to go to other countries. It's just a matter of what countries you're able to go to, right? So, food for thought. You're never dead until you're dead, right? Haha. Neat Onion says, regarding what he did to the Ecuadorian embassy, he was messing around with his host country's politics. He didn't keep his room or bathroom tidy. And according to the CNN, smeared poop on the walls and got in arguments with the embassy staff? I don't know if he smeared poop on the walls. That seems a bit... I would like to believe that an individual who realizes that they're getting refuge from being arrested is not going to F with the people who are giving him refuge. I don't know. This guy says that he's seen his interviews and doesn't think that Julian Assange is one of those nice and easy to get along with people. Good to know. Zrian Oledin says, question. Also, what's all this got to do with Chelsea Manning? I hear a lot of folks comparing the two. Oh, no answers to that. I don't know. John Starving says, what does Assange being in the embassy for 7 years mean? Is it like a prison? Was he allowed to go outside? What is an embassy? Oh, man. So, an embassy... Oh, where is that? Where is that? Ah, here it is. Sorry about that, guys. That was an alarm. So, an embassy is basically... Say that you're in, let's say, England, and you want to deal with something from the U.S. The U.S. has an embassy in England, and if you go inside that embassy, it is technically American territory, U.S. territory, not English territory, even though it's in England. Same thing with all the other embassies, right? So each embassy has the rules kind of its country, sort of, and you can get... Basically, by being in an embassy, the country itself can't easily arrest you because you're technically on foreign soil, if that makes sense. So that's why it was relevant that he was in an embassy. But an embassy might have a holding area. Like, they do have holding cells, but they're not like buildings to hold people. They might have like room for a couple people to be held related to like negotiations between countries and that kind of thing, but they're not prisons. They're diplomatic buildings that are made for communicating between different countries and services for citizens in those countries. Like, for example, I live in Nicaragua. There's a U.S. embassy here. If I got in trouble or something, I would go to the U.S. embassy to try and get help, basically, or I would contact the U.S. embassy. So let's see what Reddit says embassies are. Mufrid15 says, an embassy is the main office for one country to maintain relations with another. In this case, the embassy in question belongs to Ecuador, but it is located in the United Kingdom. Though the embassy is physically in the UK, the building and its property are not subject to UK laws, only those of Ecuador. For this reason, UK police could not enter the premise without being invited. Assange had been given asylum by Ecuador, allowing him to stay in the embassy even though he wouldn't otherwise have a right to do so. He couldn't leave the embassy property, not because Ecuador wouldn't let him, but because the UK police would have arrested him. Assange had been given office space and computers to use. He also had a pet cat that the embassy staff accused him of not caring for properly. In general terms, the conditions would have been most like house arrest. Northbus says an embassy is a location in a country A granted to country B for the purpose of country B conducting diplomatic business with country A. In this case, the Ecuadorian embassy is a very nice building and complex. As the building is run under Ecuadorian laws, UK police cannot arrest someone without Ecuador's permission, which was granted in this case. Assange was granted a bedroom, an office, and a kitchen in the embassy. On one hand, the accommodations are world apart from a prison and more akin to a high-class business hotel suite. On the other hand, he couldn't and didn't leave the building as he would be arrested. So it's similar to 7 years of house arrest. Whoa! Alright, this guy is reviewing embassies, but I already read like 4 comments and my own description of what embassies are. So there you go. You guys know what an embassy is. Duckney says, I remember that there exists some insurance files that would act as a dead man's switch if Assange got killed. Are there any other conditions that would activate the dead man's switch, i.e. his arrest trigger it? How long would it take to trigger? What are the contents of said insurance files? RR1GO says the only charge so far is skipping bail on UK for a crime that was dropped years ago. And Chaz says he posted information about Ecuador's government after May of last year and they revoked his asylum claim. None of the top comments appear to address the connection between WikiLeaks releasing information about the Ecuadorian government and then his asylum being revoked. He probably would have been allowed to stay longer if he didn't publish the Ecuadorian docs. Ecuador spent a lot of money protecting him. It's odd that 9 months later they kicked him out. Must have been some damning information in those leaks. Yeah, that's crazy. So I wonder if they knew that he knew something and wanted to keep him quiet? That's crazy. How political, right? All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe and leave a comment saying something you would like me to read. Do you want a funny story? Do you want something about dolphins? Do you want something about cats? Or send a Reddit link. But make sure it has at least 200 comments, because if it doesn't, then the comments are probably too short for me to make an interesting video about, all right? So comment below, let me know. And if you want to make this kind of content, then reach out to me or us. Go to this YouTube page, go to the About page of this channel, click on For Business Inquiries, do that irritating CAPTCHA code, send us an email saying hello, because we want to have a Zoom call with you, talking about creating content and recording your screen while you explore, read, and react to content online. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.